Memory Improvement Ultimate Guide to Improve and Train Your Brain. Written by Adrian Tweely. Narrated by Weston Grit. Introduction. Your mind functions as a capacity zone that stores memory. There are two sorts of memory, the short and the long-term kinds. In your cerebrum, there are different sorts of memory that are put away. Since the cerebrum is so tremendous, it requires a framework where the memory can be encoded and recovered. Your mind is required to get data rapidly, paying little respect to what it is. It doesn't make a difference whether the data is old or new. There are times when the mind can't recover the memory that is required. Contingent upon the circumstances, it could be something that isn't a major ordeal. Then again, it could be something that is monstrous. There may have been times where you have gone to a strip shopping center and you don't remember where you might have parked your own car. Or, on the other hand, you may have gone to the office item store and didn't recollect what you should buy. Possibly, you saw somebody that you knew and couldn't remember their name. That can be humiliating. On the off chance that you were youthful when these memory slips happened, at that point, when you get into your 40s, you might approach some senior minutes, or you may begin to forget more. In 20 years from that point onward, you might be worried about Alzheimer's. Not fun, I know. Nonetheless, this condition has begun to sneak up on individuals in their 30s, so it's not simply limited to the senior native age aggregate any longer. It's a smart idea to know how your mind works when it comes to your memory. You will always cherish the birth of your first kid or your kid's secondary school graduation. Those are things that you will appreciate until the end of time. Those are unique moments, and it's hard to erase your memory. Regardless of whether they didn't turn out how you would have preferred them to, they were still moments that you will never have again with your child. Memory should be tied in with recalling things that have happened, remembering individuals, places, and things. Memory isn't something that you can see. You simply know it is there within your mind. The imperative thing is that this is the place where you can store and recover data at whatever point you have to. If you are hoping to enhance your memory, this guide gives a few hints and tips that you can use to begin the procedure. As you use them, you can keep data in your memory bank without the humiliation of forgetfulness. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, then keep on reading in the first chapter. Chapter 1. Short and Long-Term Memory. Your memory is required to be stored in and connected to your cerebrum, paying little heed to whether the data remains for some time or not. It's been said that there are three kinds of ways that memory can be arranged in the cerebrum. There is the sensory zone. There are short-term and long-term memory, something I mentioned earlier. We don't need to keep everything that is put away in our cerebrum. There is an area that goes about as a defender, so you won't be barraged with data, overburdened, that we consume all the time. I think this is best illustrated in the movie Inside Out, where a few guys get rid of all the memories that aren't important anymore, like a phone list. With the short-term one, there isn't much we can retain. It just holds a great amount, for close to 1 minute or a few minutes of memories. In any case, there might be an approach to hold it for somewhat longer. On the off chance that you separate the data into lumps, it could remain in your memory somewhat longer than normal. You can likewise rehash the data to keep the transient memory going. Data that is urgent goes into the long-term memory bank. It originates from the short-term one, but is transported into the longer storage. If you utilize the data over and over again, it will most likely go to the long-term memory side. That is the place it will remain for a more drawn-out time frame. This is why repetition can help us memorize things better. We practice over and over again, transporting the data from the short-term to the long-term memory. At the point when individuals realize what the data is about, it can be effectively put away. They feel that the data implies a ton to them. They can identify with it and keep it stored in their long-term memory. Individuals whose memory is normal can recall bunches of data about a certain topic. Altogether, for the data to get to the long-term memory bank, it will experience the tangible and the fleeting memory first. Chapter 2. Eat a healthy diet. Although a healthy diet is good for your heart, it is also good for your brain. You should eat from all of the food groups. That includes the following: fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean meats or poultry, and dairy products, 2% or less milk. You will, in any case, require water to flush the sustenance. Water is vital in light of the fact that it keeps you hydrated. Drinking liquor will get you dried out and make you forget things. Many people know this and drink alcohol on purpose to forget about their problems, but it can severely damage your brain, so it is never recommended. Try not to depend on homegrown supplements to give you the supplements that you have to manage your memory. There have not been any available that have demonstrated to do something like that yet. A solid eating routine is the most ideal path for you to get the majority of the vitamins and minerals that you need for your body. You must have a healthy mind not only to think, but to keep your memory in place in the right way. You should eat foods that contain antioxidants, like spinach, broccoli, and blueberries. You should also include fish in your diet, such as cod, salmon, sardines, which are very efficient in improving your memory, and tuna. There are omega-3 fatty acids in fish. Omega-3 fatty acids work to keep your brain functioning properly. Fish also contains healthy fats. These healthy fats can decrease the onset of dementia. Dementia is a form of memory loss condition that can be devastating. Foods that have folic acid, a B vitamin, are also good to eat. Folic acid has been known to help with the decrease in memory loss. You will find folic acid in foods such as fruits, leafy green vegetables, peas, dried beans, grain products, cereals, and enriched breads. Notwithstanding the above, you ought to have foods that contain protein, for example, lean meats and chicken, eggs, and nutty spread. Whatever the mix is, it ought to be sufficient to give you enough calories so you can have enough vitality to be physically dynamic. Endeavor to stay away from nourishments that have a great deal of saturated fats in them. They will cause your cholesterol level to go as high as can be. You can eat foods that have unsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. These are better for your body than the other ones. It's been said that olive oil can prevent more established grown-ups from losing their memory if it's incorporated into what they eat. Olive oil contains monounsaturated fat. Their memory will remain in place. Furthermore, this sort of fat is better for them and other individuals to utilize. It mixes in with blood and heart vessels. You can get more oxygen and supplements to your cerebrum. In the long run, the cells would work to keep the memory strong. It's essential that blood streams ceaselessly flow through the cerebrum. Olive oil can shield the cells from being harmed and help with the development of them. Remember that you ought not devour an overburden of calories, or it can make you put on a considerable measure of weight or wind up noticeably obese. With vitamins, there are some that can help you to boost your memory functioning. One of those that you can take is B vitamins. On the off chance that you are not taking this, your memory can endure. Taking B vitamins has demonstrated to enhance your memory and your capacity to recollect things. For more seasoned grown-ups, they can eat oats that contain B12. This will enable them to keep their memory in place. Something else, their mindset can go downhill. If you are a veggie lover, you can utilize the B vitamin as supplement for not having enough in your body. This is normally intended for vegans that don't eat fish, eggs, or dairy items. You can likewise take vitamin C and E to enable your memory to remain sharp. Both of these vitamins contain cancer prevention agents that help soothe a portion of the pressure that is found on the cells of your cerebrum. Free radicals are in charge of the pressure that bothers that zone in your brain. Cell reinforcements work to dispose of the free radicals and can enhance your memory. Vitamin C and E are known to be sheltered. In any case, it is a smart thought to consult your doctor before taking them. Magnesium is a mineral that is considered to dispose of worry or stress in the cerebrum. It can help with enhancing your memory and upgrading your learning abilities. This mineral is applied when the muscles contract and, in addition, enabling you to unwind. There are a few foods that contain magnesium. For example, entire grains, verdant green vegetables, drain, and fish. Chapter 3. Practice memorizing. You can work on enhancing your memory. It's much the same as your training on a football or track and field. The main contrast is that it is more exceptional. This shouldn't imply that attempting to enhance your memory isn't. It's simply an alternate level, yet the objective continues as before. The more you practice, the better you will be at grinding away. At that point, it ends up noticeably less demanding on you. It simply gets easier. You can play a memory game by being in a gathering and getting the names of everybody in it. Take a couple of minutes to absorb the data, and after that endeavor, to list everybody's name that was in the gathering. You may not get it in the first run, but rather, on the off chance that you continue doing it, in the long run, you will have the capacity to ace enhancing your memory. You can likewise do that with different situations. For example, daily papers and different periodicals. Read a portion, and after that, discuss what you read. If you are effective with that, at that point, it demonstrates that you focused on what you were reading in the first place. Then again, in case you're not, you may need to give careful consideration to it. Drench up the essential points of interest. Recalling the little stuff can be vital and key to keeping it in your memory bank. Staying focused. Some portion of practicing what you're reading includes being engaged. You should keep your consideration on the current issue. In the event that you are chatting with somebody, tune in to what they are stating. You can request that they rehash it if you didn't hear them or did not get it. You should repeat it in that case. A few people experience difficulty focusing when there is a clamor. Try to find some place calm where you can talk. Limit intrusions if possible. You realize that there might be times when there are little disturbances, yet handle them in a good way. If you're autistic in some light or severe form, this will be harder. I know my dad, for example, cannot handle any noise. As soon as two people talk at the same time, he leaves the room, and it's because he has a little bit of autism. The less commotion and diversions you need to manage, the happier you'll be. You will have the capacity to concentrate more on the current discussion. You can repeat things to yourself to enable you to enhance your memory. You can say them out loud so you can remember them better yourself. If you are getting data from another person, repeat back what they let you know. That is the manner by which you can affirm information disclosed among you. Take notes. It's a good idea to take notes so you can refer to them later. Not every person can recall everything. That is simply excessively outlandish. Record essential things that you should keep for some time later. Chapter 4. Exercise and Sports. Exercise can help you to recover your memory where it ought to be. You can go out for a stroll and free yourself from any dissatisfaction that you might be experiencing in life. Sports are great. They boost endorphins and help you to think clearly. With the quantity of individuals that are either overweight or obese, many more have become more inclined to experience health problems. In the event that they don't practice all the time, they can have clogged up arteries. The blood won't stream unreservedly in their body. Along with that comes the fact that your cerebrum isn't getting enough oxygen to inhale openly. When you're not working out, your mind isn't getting much blood. Blood needs to flow to your cerebrum so you can think straight. You need to move around and not be as stiff. Consolidate different exercises that include moving around. The more dynamic you are, the better possibilities you have to enhance your memory. Hiking or going for a walk can likewise deal with your pressure. It soothes your brain of the weight that you're managing. On the off chance that you stroll no less than 30 minutes every day, you will have the capacity to be more engaged and increment the sharpness of your memory. Stress is a hindrance to enhancing your memory. It impedes your concentration and causes you not to have the capacity to think straight and recall things. In such manner, you can likewise enhance your memory by intervention or doing breathing exercises. You can't keep your brain on overdrive by being in worry and stress. You can think more clearly and remember significantly more. Play word games and various types of riddles. This will help you enhance your memory, and you will have the capacity to focus better. Fixation is required so as to have that sharp mental edge to recall things. Chapter 5. Visualization and Association. There are a few people who can get a handle on things by memory by taking words and turning them into pictures. Perception and affiliation can bring light to something that may not be conspicuous just by the composed word. This kind of visualization is exceptional and comes in very handy. For example, let's say you were sending an email and there was a baffling tone to it. You may put a miserable emoji face at the end of the correspondence. This means you were not satisfied with whatever was happening. A portion of the pictures can be one of a kind and not recognizable. In any case, as long as that individual realizes what they are taking a look at and can relate to it. You can be enlightening by drawing pictures of how you see yourself in the following 5 years and work towards that objective. Many people use vision boards like these to set goals. This way, you can step back and take a better look at your life. Visualization enhances your memory, as well as helps to mitigate pressure. Stress is a factor of not having the capacity to think and remember things plainly. So utilizing perception or visualization can help you when you are hoping to push ahead. It can likewise help you to wind up noticeably more inspired. By using association techniques, you can utilize single words to trigger your memory of what you have to remember. Things that are fun and out of the box are awesome plans to enable you to recover your cerebrum and help it adapt to things. When you begin utilizing these strategies, you will find that you will enhance your memory and have the capacity to recollect more things. Chapter 6: Aromatherapy and Essential Oils. Did you realize that there are a few events that are associated with smells? If you happen to notice a whiff of fragrance or cologne, it can influence you to think of things that happened a while or a few years back. Utilizing fragrance-based treatment can take things back to your recognition. I still remember smelling a deodorant I hadn't smelled in years, and instantly, I felt like I was back at that location, halfway across the world. There are some basic oils that are utilized as a part of fragrance-based treatment that can help you to think better and more clearly, and be rationally mindful of what's happening. For this purpose, peppermint and eucalyptus are often the best. Essential oils give a scent that originates from leaves, bark, blossoms, and a fragrant, natural product. These oils give an extraordinary smell that can be used as stimulants to your brain. Rosemary is another essential oil that is used in aromatherapy. It is utilized to upgrade and increment your memory. It likewise encourages you to focus progressively, and you can think outside of the box. It stimulates creativity, according to scientists. Fundamentally, it attempts to upgrade and animate your cerebrum. On the off chance that you are a student and you are studying for a future test, you can utilize this essential oil to help you. Sage is another essential oil used to upgrade and enhance your memory. Notwithstanding these previously mentioned essential oils, others that are used to empower the mind are basil and straight shrub. Even though they are a brain stimulant, aromatherapy treatment is thought to be a strategy used to soothe your psyche and discharge the stress that you have confronted with every day. Other examples of relieving oils are chamomile and lavender. If you are having an issue with enhancing the use of your memory, you can try mint or essential oils that have a citrus scent. These oils attempt to invigorate your cerebrum and help you to remember more from your life. If you are experiencing medical issues that are meddling with you remembering things or people, you can breathe in some peppermint oil. Whatever essential oil that you try, simply take a cotton ball and place a few drops of oil on it. At that point, breathe in and take in the fragrance. You are not required to utilize one oil at any given moment. You can mix some to make an oil that you can use to massage different areas of your body. Before beginning the procedure, here are a few things to remember. Check with your doctor before utilizing the procedure and oils. On the off chance that you have any medical conditions, you need to guarantee that the scent does not cause antagonistic responses or side effects. The oils are not to be consumed inside, and they are not to be put on the skin specifically. Women who are pregnant should check with their doctor preceding utilizing those essential oils. The aroma might be unsafe for your unborn child. Chapter 7: Be Special and Original. There are many tips that you can use to enhance your memory. Some of them are one of a kind and inventive. Despite of how strange some of them might seem, they will work if you put them under a magnifying glass. You can use them in the categories of reasoning, recognizing distinctive examples, and math issues. Whatever it is, you need to make use of your psyche to do it. Here are some inventive and intelligent ways you can invigorate your cerebrum to enhance your memory. Read books at whatever point you get the chance. Spend no less than an hour a couple of times each week pursuing fiction and self-help books. On the off chance that you have a full-time day at work, read during your lunch hour. In the event that you use public transportation, read on the train, subway, bus, airplane, or taxi. If you're into animals, buy a fish tank and add fish of different colors. It can show you an entire diverse world in which you can drift away, figuratively speaking. Improve your home with various color tones. It won't look so tasteless when other people see your imaginative side. Tune into music that can invigorate your spirit and stimulate your brain. Certain genres of music can place you in a casual state of mind and help you relax, while others may move you to go on faster. Play some table games, for example, chess or Scrabble. These games can be a test and help to empower the cerebrum cells. Interact with other individuals who you don't often see. You ought to likewise get together with relatives and dear friends. If there are clubs in your general vicinity, go along with one that you are excited about. Send something to email addresses that you haven't looked at in quite a while. They would most likely be charmed to get notifications from you. If you are dealing with the senses, you can open your mind and enhance your memory. Try not to be reluctant to connect and investigate new things. Attempting diverse things with regards to enhancing your memory is essential. It invigorates your psyche and helps you to unwind. You have less to stress over. Being dynamic keeps your mind sharp and centered. Keep using your brain, or it will slow down and not work in the same way anymore. Chapter 8. Get rid of unneeded, repetitive actions. There are distinct approaches to enhance your memory. Some of them are simple and to the point. So you will most likely say, "Why didn't I think of that?" There are a few things about your memory that won't quicken as you get more established. Be that as it may, you can, in any case, get things going with general methods and tricks. You can't recall everything. You can remember the dominant parts of things. Those that you don't, you can figure out how to do it. There are times when you forget things simply because the way towards doing that same thing has been rehashed so much that you overlook how often it's happened. It turns it into a habit when you do certain things consistently in light of the fact that you can't recall it whether you have done them or not. To stop the monotonous activities, beware of what you are doing. You should center and focus. Whatever you're pondering that is obscuring your judgment, dispose of it from your system. Diversions or distractions can destroy you when you are taking a shot at trying to break a habit. For a few, it can take a considerable measure so as to focus on what they are doing. Focusing can help you remember your actions and dispose of anything that you should not continue doing. Some of it is little stuff. For example, turning out the lights before you leave, or unplugging the iron after you've finished. Here's a list of tips that you can use to help you not be so habitually repetitive. If you are leaving your home, stop for a minute. Consider what you have to do before you go. Consider the areas that you have to secure. For example, the front and back doors. They have to be locked. Focus when you are keeping an eye on those things. They are basic with regards to securing your home. Association is critical when it comes to disposing of unneeded habits. Make an arrangement and stay with it. Being organized can help you, so you don't need to remember specific things since they are in that spot before you or they are in your reach. Make a list of things you need to do each day. When you have finished each errand, check it off. Not doing that can influence you to retry what you've effectively done. Check off things as you finish them also helps you save time. Keep your list in the same spot with the goal that you will have the capacity to find it effortlessly. Ensure that there's a place for everything that you use on a standard or regular routine. For example, if you use ink pens, put them in drawers that you use for that reason, or buy a holder where you can put a ton of them. That way, you will never come up short on composing instruments. If you have children, put their book packs by the front entryway. That way, they won't forget about them. If you provide them with their lunches, place it in their book pack directly after you've settled it. If you make lunch for yourself, you can put it on the stove or close to the front entryway with the goal that you can make sure to take it with you. Doing little things like that can make a lot of difference between having your own lunch and spending money every day for food. Go over all the tasks that you are supposed to do. But the most important things first. Be sure that you have everything you need to do the right tasks. Use a calendar to write down the important information and things that you need to do. You will not be able to remember everything. Keep the calendar with you so that you can refer back to it. Pending items need to be completed or resolved as soon as possible. Don't procrastinate. Do it while it's on your mind. In order to keep your memory fresh, place things back where they were before. Putting them in places other than where they were can cause confusion for you. You may have to repeat information to yourself in order for it to stick in your brain. It's just like reciting lines for a play. The only way you will remember is to keep repeating the lines over and over again. Any important information, such as names, phone numbers, addresses, directions, etc., should be kept in one central location. They should be sorted where you can easily find them in a matter of seconds. One thing that you must not forget to do, and that is to focus and concentrate. Whatever you're doing, keep a laser-sharp eye on the task at hand. Focus and concentration are crucial to your success in improving your memory. If you are one of those who habitually forgets things, you may not concentrate enough. That's all. You allow things and events to take over your life. You have too much to do and allow distractions and demanding situations to plague you too often. You may have a short attention span or no attention span at all. This can cause you not to remember the things that you need to. Being preoccupied defeats the purpose of being able to improve your memory performance. With all of this taking place, it's a miracle that anything can get done. It's important for you and others that are like you to have a system in place. That's why you see so many people with forgetful memories. Chapter 9. Mnemonic Tips and Tricks. Another approach to enhance your memory is to utilize mnemonic tips. What does this mean? Mnemonics are tricks that assist you in learning and hold data in your memory bank. Despite the fact that a portion of the tips and tricks may not be anything but difficult to learn, they have been demonstrated to work, regardless of whether you have to remember names, records, or focuses for class. This strategy can help you recapture and hold your memory. Mnemonics can enhance your memory and help you to focus better. One of the mnemonic tips you can use to enhance your memory is to make an acronym to use for an expression. Acronyms are made by looking at the primary letter of each line that you are attempting to remember. You can likewise compose ballads or verses to enable you to recollect things. An example of using mnemonics with acronyms is like this: A for A, B for big, and C for cat. With this method, it's good to do it in small portions. It's easier for people to remember things, such as numbers and letters, when they are in small chunks rather than a large conglomerate. The chunks should be no more than 7 portions in one setting. A standout amongst the most well-known approaches to utilize this strategy is to look at the rhymes. One that is used as a part of elementary school for a long time is I before E, with the exception of after C. It is popular amongst the most well-known, and research has shown that it helps them remember things. Another approach to enhance your memory with mnemonics is to join words in a list by utilizing photographs and pictures. They may not bode well, but rather, when the story is told, kids will have the capacity to comprehend and remember what they are learning. Use straightforward things, for example, cat, bounce, apple, and other related things. Kids can identify with them better and rapidly get a handle on what they have to learn. It additionally helps that they are using these words in a group. This helps them organize and segment words. Chapter 10. Chunking. There are a few things that you may overlook that ought to be in your memory constantly. A few things you can record and read from them. Other data you need to keep in your memory bank since they are exceptionally touchy. You can't simply write them down and place them in your handbag or some other place. For things like that and other info, the chunking procedure might be what you require. This system is utilized when you are managing numbers and letters. If you have a considerable amount of numeric data, for example, a telephone number, it can be separated into a couple of pieces, so you can remember it more efficiently. It doesn't require as much energy to consider what you have to remember. You will still have the capacity to know the telephone number, not exactly at one time. In addition, chunking is a simpler technique to manage. With chunking, you discover certain subjects to relate the numbers to. At that point, as you consider those subjects, you connect them with the number you are attempting to remember. The more you associate and identify with the data, the better chance you have of remembering the numbers. Individuals can make an example and use it for other data that they have to remember. There is a whole other world to chunking than simply remembering numbers. You can likewise do it with letters. For example, if you have to send a letter or email to a few people whose name begin with a similar letter, you can figure out how to recollect the names that begin with this letter and that letter of the letter set. The same thing happens in the store if you're buying things that are in the same aisle. You can sort them on a grocery list accordingly, so you don't have to walk up and down as much. Of course, walking up and down gives you some exercise, but if you're in a hurry, you might as well sort them. That way, when you arrive, you can go in those assigned walkways and get what you require. There are so many people who wander the paths more than once when they understand that a portion of similar things are situated in a similar place. Unless you comprehend what's in each passageway by memory, this can be a way that can spare you time. You won't really need to experience the whole store to get what you want to buy. Chapter 11. Use the environment. Remember the time when individuals would tie a string around their finger. Indeed, that was a way for them to remember things that they wanted to do. It filled in as an update that there were things that had not yet been done. It functioned as a reminder. At whatever point they saw the string, it let them realize that they planned to complete the activity. With the big number of the electronic devices these days, it's very far-fetched that anybody is using a piece of string any longer. Everyone uses a planner, a phone, a tablet, or Google Calendars. But what you can still do without technology, for instance, is, with clothes that you have to take or get from the cleaners, put a holder on the handle of your room entryway or your front door. Or on the other hand, you can put them at the two spots. Along these lines, you will make sure to get your clothes. regardless of whether it's taking them or lifting them up from the cleaners. Use different colors. Different colors can have an impact on your mind. For example, if you have objects that are red, they can help you focus better. Concentration can work in your favor to help you improve your memory. Using colors is one of the best ways. If you want to be creative, you can use the color blue. Another color that is associated with concentration is green. This color can also be used to help improve your focus. Green and blue have proven to improve focus. Using a timer while you are reading or studying can help you enhance your memory too, because it creates pressure to take in more information. Knowing that you only have so much time to do this can help you keep focused on the subject at hand. You won't have time to get distracted, so you'll get the task done. If you are studying at home, you should do what you can to go where there are minimal amounts of distractions. It seems when you are the busiest is when the distractions seem to crop up. When you're studying, keep the television off along with the radio. The ringer on your phone should be silent. Just turn off your phone. So many people feel the urge to answer every text or notification immediately. Don't let this be you. If you need music to listen to while you're studying, play some soft music that can get you in the mood to study. If you will be studying for a few hours, take a break in between. Taking breaks can help you to free your mind from the studying that you've been doing. It gives you a chance to refresh your brain. On your break, you can take a brief walk or eat a healthy snack. Chapter 12. How to remember names, places, and other things. Other ways that you can remember places is to make a note in your mind of certain items or areas that you can relate to. If there are certain scents, like specific restaurants, remember those in the back of your mind when you need to find your vehicle. Maps are also a good way to remember where you are. When you're cooking, it can matter to know how much of an ingredient you should use and how much you have already used. You don't want to turn it out into a disgusting, of course, so if you put too much of an ingredient in there, no one will eat what you've prepared, including you. When you're mixing in the ingredients, count them. This will help you not to overdo it. Moreover, you will not be distracted when you're doing it. Not remembering someone's name can be pretty hard, and it's not good if you can't. If you are introducing someone to another person and you can't remember the third person's name, that can be a little embarrassing and maybe even offensive. It happens a lot more than people think. It's easier to remember someone's face, but with names, it's harder because you don't see the name. With a face, you are dealing with recognizing a person. Your brain can process this easier than it can remember their name. With recognizing a face, you don't have a lot of choices to deal with. But with words, so many letters and names are similar. Your brain has to reach down and think about it. It takes more energy and is not always easy. There are some ways that this can be made simpler for you. You can immediately think about something that is connected to the name of that person, like another person you know with the same name, or something that rhymes with his or her name. Another technique that you can use is to pay attention when the person's name is said. Make repetitions and say it loud enough for you to hear. You can connect the name with another piece of information. For instance, if the person's last name is Green, you can associate that with money. Money is green. So whenever you see this person, you can make that connection. Especially if you happen to know that the person is rich. Continue to repeat the person's name and connect the face with it. I usually repeat it out loud, which doesn't offend people at all. because they see you're putting effort into trying to remember their name. Chapter 13. Using Sleeping Techniques. There are many individuals who don't get enough rest, and therefore their memory suffers. An absence of rest can cause individuals not to be as alert as they should be, to the point at which they are up and awake but not focused. You might have had this happen to you. When you're tired, it's harder to focus. The normal amount of rest that a man or woman needs is between 6 and 8 hours. It is basic that individuals get enough rest so as to have the capacity to work appropriately. Be that as it may, there are a few people who can't nod off without anyone else for reasons unknown. Some will depend on a doctor-prescribed solution with a specific end goal to get enough rest. Notwithstanding, that does not generally work to support them. It's hard to get over prescribed drugs, so it's better not to rely on them too much. I only take melatonin when I really have to. Don't drink liquor. Avoid alcohol like the plague. It causes extra anxiety and restlessness. You can use a few methodologies to get the chance to rest that don't require the intake of medications or liquor. Here are some that you can use to enable you to get some better sleep. It's not a smart thought to put your attention on falling asleep. If you try too hard, you may get frustrated, which causes you to stay awake, like an eternal loop. The more concentration and focus you use, the more troublesome it will be for you to get some rest. Envision that you are in some place in a tropical climate. Keep the lights off while you're in bed. With the lights on, it can make it hard for you to rest. Make use of a calendar where you do similar things each night. Having a standard where you are preparing for bed can help you in the end nod off. Your body will flag when it's ideal opportunity for you to crash. Have a standard when awakening and going to bed each day and night. On the ends of the week, do whatever it takes not to rest more than you have to. When you sleep late, it can hard to rest at night. Sleeping in can foul up your schedule. When you are in bed, you ought not watch the TV, read, or eat. Try not to chat on the phone while you're there either. The room ought to be a haven while you rest, and to get private. Conclusion. With the number of tips, tricks, and techniques in this book, you should be able to at least use some of them to help you enhance your memory. Being able to retain information is essential to our lives and happiness, but it is also important that you are able to recall it from memory when you need to. Improving your memory can help you to stimulate your brain even more than it was before. You will be able to learn how to do some things in a different way regarding remembering and retrieving data from that bank in your brain.
Memory Techniques. Improve your memory and think twice as fast in any situation. Written by Quinn Spencer. Narrated by Eric Boozer. 5 simple ways to improve your memory. Are you having difficulty remembering names, faces, figures, and events? Do you envy other people who can remember facts and dates with exquisite detail? Well, you can stop feeling envious now. Yes, it's true that some people are gifted with the uncanny ability to remember just about anything they want. However, that doesn't mean you have to resign yourself to a life of poor memory. There are memory techniques that can sharpen your ability to store data efficiently to remember things fairly quickly. To learn more, keep listening. We have 2 types of memory, the short-term and the long-term memory. You can think of them as 2 doors, with the first one leading to a small waiting room and the second door into a very large storage room. Waiting rooms are places where people stay temporarily, and storage rooms are more permanent. Therefore, anything that goes inside the first door, but not into the second door, will be lost in the overwhelming flow of information that is all around us, making memorization difficult. To prevent this are 5 simple memory techniques that will help sharpen your mind and push information from the waiting room to the more permanent, long-term storage room. 1. Concentrate. Pay attention to the data that you receive so that you can digest the information better and faster. Focus your attention while processing facts and figures so that you can take in as much as you can. 2. Make a connection between the new data with something you already know. The process of association is very powerful. Use it to connect what you want to remember to something you already know or feel deeply about. You can even connect it to something entirely unrelated. For example, say you are asked to buy diapers on your way home from work. You may connect this errand to babies or stroller. After 4 hours, you're driving home and see a baby being strolled by a woman crossing the street. Your mind will associate the baby or the stroller with diapers, which will trigger you to remember to buy the diapers. 3. Repetition. Songs and commercial jingles are easy to memorize because they are repeated over and over on the radio and television. Repeat the information inside your mind again and again. Think of repetition as overcrowding the waiting room to the point where there is no other place for the information to go but into long-term storage. 4. Organize. Think about your bedroom for a second. When it is messy, it is impossible to find anything under all that mess. But when your room is clean and organized, it's a breeze to locate items. This works the same way with your mind. You not only need to push memory into storage, but you need to organize the storage room well so you can find and recall the information as quickly and efficiently as possible. So whether you need to remember lists, facts, or complex ideas, find a method of organizing data that makes it easy for you to recall and retrieve information quickly. 5. Practice recalling. When people think of memory, they think strictly about memorizing and shoving information into storage. However, an important part of memory is about recalling, which means being able to retrieve all that information from storage. So if you want to really sharpen memory, learn to practice recalling information you want to memorize. You can practice recalling by memorizing something and resting your mind for 5 to 15 minutes. Then try to recite what you memorized. If you are successful, do these steps 3 to 4 more times, each time giving yourself a longer break in between. You might take a bath or read a book before going back to recall what you memorized. If you are still able to remember the data after 3 times, this means the data is residing in the part of the brain where it will likely stay long term and where it will be easily accessible. If you fail at correctly reciting the first time around, don't worry. It is okay to fail the first few times. Just regularly apply this simple memory technique whenever you need to impress a thought into your mind. These are the pain-free and easy memory techniques to help you improve your memory. Performing these simple steps frequently will help you sharpen your ability to recall all that you desire. Indeed, practice makes perfect. Accelerate skill learning. Sport skill memory is developed when athletes learn and remember motor skills. Motor memory techniques can accelerate the skill acquisition process so athletes can progress to higher levels of sport performance more quickly. Motor learning principles are drawn from psychology and applied to sports training. Coaches can use the following sport memory techniques to speed up skill learning and retention for athletes of any age. 1. Help athletes learn skills correctly the first time. Initial learning is most impressionable. A skill learned incorrectly is often difficult to repattern. Coaches should monitor and guide athletes to learn proper techniques when athletes are still in the early stages of learning. 2. Teach skill rhythms first, and then refine the movements. Athletes can learn and recall rhythmic movements more quickly than isolated movements, just as rhythms are more readily remembered in verbal learning. 3. Chunk movements. Movements can be learned and processed if they are chunked or grouped into larger movements. This grouping technique increases an athlete's capacity to learn and perform sport skills. Break skills down only as much as necessary. Overanalysis causes paralysis. 4. Make new skills meaningful. Explain and demonstrate new skills so that the athlete understands what the skill requires and why it is executed that way. Also, make clear how a skill, movement, or strategy will help the athlete improve sport performance. 5. Associate new skills and concepts with well-learned skills. Athletes learn new skills more quickly if key movements make sense to them. A coach can capitalize on an athlete's previous experience and maturity level by suggesting mental images that associate new skill concepts and features with familiar ones. 6. Point out specific clues that require the athlete's attention. Intention to remember alerts an athlete to important aspects of a skill or game situation. An athlete's ability to focus and remember key cues distinguishes beginners from skilled performers. 7. Overlearn skills to correct errors. Overlearning means practicing skills beyond what is necessary to perform them properly. It is effective for correcting previously learned errors and for reinforcing properly coordinated movements. Sport memory techniques such as these can streamline training, saving valuable time and effort. These are just a few of the many tools used for how to effectively convey what skills and strategies athletes need to know. Easy ways to simplify your concentration skills. One does not lead to the other when it comes to memories and concentration. Your memory is your ability to remember people, experiences, and information. When you concentrate, you direct your mental powers and efforts towards a specific subject, activity, or problem. You can learn skills that can be learned to enhance both concentration and memory. Practicing these skills can enhance success as a student. Once something is stored in our brain, we never forget it. However, we may have difficulty recalling the information. Good concentration will also enhance memory. If we only practice skills that improve our memory but never look at factors that enhance concentration, our efforts will only be marginally successful. A strong memory depends on the health and vitality of your brain. There are lots of things you can do to improve your memory and mental performance. Exercise. Your ability to remember will increase if you can nurture your brain with healthy habits, as physical exercise increases oxygen to your brain. Sleep. When you're sleep deprived, your brain cannot operate at its full capacity. Creativity, problem-solving abilities, and critical thinking skills become compromised. Research shows that sleep is necessary for memory consolidation, with the key memory-enhancing activity occurring during the deepest stages of sleep. Brain food. Just as the body needs fuel, so does the brain. A diet of brain food is based on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats. Along with all the benefits of a healthy, balanced diet, it can also improve memory. Brain gym. Complete mental exercises and activities that break your routine and challenge you to use and develop parts of your brain that get overlooked. Your memory is like your muscles. It requires you to use it or lose it. The more you exercise your brain, the higher its capacity to retain information. Friends and fun. Make time for friends and fun. Studies show that a life that's full of friends and fun comes with cognitive benefits, since humans are highly social animals. We're not meant to thrive in isolation. Our relationships stimulate our brains, meaning interacting with others may be the best kind of brain exercise we get. Research has shown that a strong support system and meaningful relationships are important not only to emotional health, but brain health. There are many ways to take advantage of the brain and memory-boosting benefits of socializing. You can join a club, visit friends, volunteer, spend time out with friends, or reach out over the phone. And if a human isn't available, a highly social pet will do every now and then. Stress check. Chronic stress can destroy brain cells and damages the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the region of the brain where new memories are formed and where we go for the retrieval of old ones. Studies have shown that meditation can help improve creativity, learning, focus, and concentration. Mnemonics. Mnemonics are the art of assisting the memory by using a system of artificial aids, rhymes, rules, phrases, diagrams, acronyms, and other devices, all to help in the recall of names, dates, facts, and figures. Effectiveness. Who says that only mind freaks can have photographic memory? You definitely can hear the oohs and ahs when the mind freak himself was able to draw for you a detailed drawing of the entire city just after a 5-minute helicopter ride. It is a miracle how these people are able to remember so well. Now, imagine if you have the exact same power and ability. Wouldn't that be incredible? Just glimpse through your textbooks the hour before you sit for your exam and you will definitely score a miracle A. Check out these 3 effective photographic memory techniques for you that you can use and benefit from. Before getting started, photographic memory requires some kind of practice and technique too. So if you cannot do it after the first try, do not quit. Give yourself some time to get used to it too. First, the link system is usually used to aid you with all sorts of memory work. This is highly useful for memorizing text in the form of lists or chores. So let's say if you have a long shopping list to remember, try to get all the words and try to make a mental scenario out of it. Example, if you are given a list of things, pink, shirt, cat, slippers, ironing, and flowers, make a picture out of this by thinking of a cat wearing a shirt printed with flowers, and so on. When you reach the last item, try to link it to the first. This short mental film will help you to remember effectively and quickly. The second method is to use the peg system. The peg system is used usually to remember images in a sequence. This number-shaped system will help you to remember the sequence of images accurately in a jiffy. For example, you are given pictures of a dog, cat, mouse, elephant, antelope, and giraffe, arranged in this sequence. To use the peg system, simply attach a number to each picture. Example, 1 dog, 2 cats, 3 mice, 4 elephant, etc. At the same time, use your mental scenario to make the peg system work. Remember to link the animals to each other by using the same technique as mentioned in the link system. The last technique would involve the use of the ever-famous mind mapping. Back in the school days, the mind mapping technique is a very popular and highly encouraged technique. However, over time, people choose to chuck this technique away simply because they are finding it harder to use. Well, this, of course, depends on the kind of area you are planning to use the mind mapping technique for. To use the mind mapping technique effectively, simply take the key central image of the concept and branch out information that is related. It might get messier as you go by, but it is an excellent tool for organizing a busy timetable or storing large quantities of information. Developing photographic memory is not all that tough. If you are not born with this gift, then get sneaky and try out these tricks and apply them. Your friends will be shocked by your tremendous improvement in your memory work. Get ahead in life. Memory techniques are very simple and can be used to improve your mind and your life. Learn how to enhance your mind to impress your friends or your boss for that pay raise. Imagine being able to remember your grocery list effortlessly without rote memorization. The human mind is complex, and with understanding and some memory techniques, you will find that knowledge is ingrained in your mind, and recalling it will be a breeze. Connection technique. The connection technique creates meaning or a link to an event or fact that you know, thus allowing you to recall it easily. An advantage of this memory technique is that it makes use of common information that you know and thus makes it unlikely for you to forget the information once the meaning has been attached. For example, it is easier to recall an address of 2612 Memory Walk by linking it to Boxing Day, which falls on the 26th of December. Mind mapping. An equally easy and potent technique for training your mind is through mind mapping, which is based on how we think and recall information. This memory technique uses your entire brain by linking ideas and processes. By forcing you to put down on paper your thoughts, it forces you to focus your full attention to the information. The usage of visuals through colors and pictures also reinforces memory. Repetition. This is a simple technique often used to remember something by focusing your entire attention on it. The use of repetition entrenches the information in your long-term memory. By doing so, you are able to avoid the common mistake many people make, forgetting things because they did not remember them in the first place. Mnemonics. Mnemonics are a form of memory tool that trains your entire mind to store and retrieve information through the use of association. Language is an important aspect of recalling information, and mnemonics in the form of rhymes or familiar trigger words can serve as resources to your mind. You can link the main ideas or information that you need to remember in a story or via the use of acronyms. For example, would be Roy of York gave birth in vain, an acronym for the color of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Simple day-to-day activities such as reading is also a great way to improve your memory by exercising your mind. By learning and using any of the techniques above, you will soon find yourself able to rely on your mind more than ever. The capacity of our memory is virtually unlimited, and by matching new information to things already in our memory, we will be able to train your mind into being a reliable store of data. How to memorize easily. 3 techniques to explore. The human brain is capable of more than most people even imagine. We remember important things and forget less important things, but the fact is that even the less important things are still stored in our minds somewhere, stacked amongst the vast volumes of data in our personal hard drives. With a little practice and some applied techniques, it is possible to learn how to memorize easily and keep things indexed so that you can retrieve them anytime you want. Let's examine 3 of the popular memory techniques that can teach you how to memorize easily and efficiently. Associative memory techniques. These type of memory techniques involve using very traditional characteristics of our memory to help us memorize easily. With an associative technique, a well-known item is associated with a recently encountered item as a way of creating an easy pathway to the lesser-known item for later retrieval. Popular associative memory techniques are mnemonics, linked lists, peg words, and a technique called mental journey. Visual memory techniques. With a visual technique, mental imagery is applied to rehearse a memory and create a visual memory from this rehearsal, even for an item that has no visual characteristics. An example would be remembering a person's name by drawing a visual picture of what that name would look like if it were an object, which will stick better in the mind because objects are more easily memorized than abstract concepts such as names. Repetition. Most of us are quite familiar with this memory technique as a method for studying for an exam in school. Repeating an item over and over increases the likelihood that it will be memorized. So this is a fairly obvious technique that most people practice at some point in their lives. However, repetition takes time and is not nearly the most efficient way to memorize easily and effectively. All of those techniques are different, but they operate on a similar practice, which entails creating a memory and giving it a new way of entering your mind, as compared to what you experienced the first time you encountered the information. The way to improve your memory is to employ one of these techniques to make a deeper impression in your memory, which will make you recall it more easily. How to memorize using the location memory technique. The location memory technique can be an effective tool to help you memorize many unrelated items. The location memory technique connects the unrelated ideas we want to remember by using memorable locations to fix the facts or ideas in our memory in a spatial relationship. This technique is especially useful because you can memorize any items in exact order. We know from recent hemispheric brain research that our brains act as computer file folders, slotting newly learned information in the same file as already learned information that fits within the same file. This technique connects ideas or items together, just like our brain file folders do. If we take the time to organize new information in the same way as our brains, we can improve our retention of that information. Background. The ancient Greek orators such as Socrates made use of special memory tricks that deals with familiar object locations. The Greeks would think of taking a tour of their own homes, beginning in the entryways. For each room of the house, they would picture a key word of what they were trying to remember on or next to a special object in that room. Connecting the unknown keywords to the known, the floor plan of the house, helps place the key words into your long-term memory. Directions. Picture the floor plan of your house or apartment. Visualize a clockwise walkthrough of your home, beginning in the entryway. For each room, picture the key word or concrete object on or next to an especially memorable object in that room. Substitute concrete objects for any key words that are too abstract to remember well. For example, substituting the concrete bulging bicep for the abstract strength would be a much more memorable object to picture in your dining room. Example, let's say you want to memorize the preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Key words memorized in order will help prompt your memory. The key words are not necessarily the most important words. They are the words that will best prompt your memory for the following lines. In the preamble to the Constitution, the key words might include the following: people, in order, justice, ensure, defense, general, blessings, ordained, for. Using the location strategy, you might picture your entire family linking arms together in the entryway of your house, people. Next, picture a playing card royal flush, ace, king, queen, jack, 10, in order on the couch in your living room, in order. Then, picture a bright blue law book on the table in your dining room, justice. Now, picture a can of Ensure nutritional supplement on top of the refrigerator in your kitchen, ensure. After this, picture a white picket fence surrounding the beanbag chair in your family room, defense. Then, picture G.I. Joe, General, saluting you on top of the thermostat in the hallway, general. Next, picture yourself sneezing and then saying, God bless me, on top of the yellow desk in the front bedroom, blessings. After this, picture a waiter asking, may I take your order, while standing on top of the dresser in the middle bedroom, ordain. Finally, picture a fluorescent orange 4 on the locked door of the back master bedroom, 4. Now prompt yourself to remember each fact by consciously picturing the items in each room. Close your eyes if it helps. Practice walking through your apartment or home and picturing the exact location of each item to place them into your long-term memory. Got them? The images will stick with you for as long as you need them. A little rehearsal will help what you are trying to memorize stay in your memory banks. Memorizing using the location memory technique will enable you to retain the memory of many seemingly unrelated items. How to study subjects you hate. Improving memory techniques are most needed for exams. This is especially the case if you hate a subject or a topic, but you still have to revise for it. School children or even adults struggle to tackle this problem. Here are some improving memory techniques which can help you improve your memory for subjects you don't like. 1. Self-affirmation. This is a very important thing to do before beginning to study a subject. You need to tell yourself that the subject is interesting and that you'll enjoy it. You need to believe in yourself that you'll be able to grasp this subject by its throat and pass with flying colors. This may sound silly for those who have not done self-affirmation before, but it works. When you repeat statements to yourself and try to honestly believe in these statements, you'll find that your subconscious mind will actually believe it. It won't take long before you actually believe what you are saying to yourself. By continuously repeating positive statements to yourself and believing in them, you'll find that you are more motivated and excited when you start to study the material. You'll have a whole new perspective on the subject, and your memory will improve tenfold using this technique. 2. Understanding the subject. When you are reading the subject, start from the beginning and read right through it till the end. The point is not to memorize the facts in this reading. The point is to understand what the whole picture is for that particular chapter. You need to understand the material and how it works. Once your brain understands the logic of the subject, and it knows in general the topics covered, Then you can start revising seriously by trying to memorize the facts. This memory improving technique is very powerful. Since your brain understands how things work, remembering the details is so much easier. Whereas if you don't understand the subject and just try to remember the facts, the revision process will be painful and ineffective. 3. Use short breaks. This memory improving technique works hand in hand with the two techniques described above. When humans try to memorize facts, they often remember the beginning and the end most clearly. The bit in the middle is the part that is most easily forgotten. The reason is that when we start revising, we have an interest in the subject, so the beginning of the material can be easily recalled. The material which you have revised at the end is also more memorable because you're happier since you're nearly finished revising, and plus the material is most recent as it's the last thing you've read. Now, if you take short breaks, such as 10-minute rest between every 30 minutes of revision, you'll find that you can remember a lot more facts. You're fully utilizing the ability to remember the beginning and the end of the material to a much greater advantage. These 3 techniques are a start to help you improve your memory. You need to read more on improving your memory, and with continuous practice of the techniques, you'll be able to save a tremendous amount of time remembering important things. Linking. There are some great memory improvement techniques you can learn. Techniques that will help in turning numbers into words, memorizing names, and remembering shopping lists. Let's discuss how to memorize a list of grocery items. We will use 4 items only, but you will see the size of the list does not matter. What we do in memory techniques is to take something we already know and associate it with something we want to remember. So we connect the two together or link them together. We can use what is called the Roman room to link items together so we can bring them up in our mind later on. The reason this works is because there are certain things you will not forget. You know where you live. You know how your house looks and what rooms are there. Assume that you are going to buy the following items from the store: bananas, soap, bread, paper towels. Pick any room in your house or apartment. Now, we will associate the items in the list with something in the room you choose. Imagine you walk into your living room and this is what you see: bookshelf, table, TV, couch. These are the first 4 things you see in sequence when you enter your living room. Take each item you want to remember on your shopping list and place them with one of the items in your living room, or replace the item in your room with one from the list. This is what you might see in your mind. You walk into your living room and bananas are shooting out of your bookshelf. Some bananas fall onto your table and are skating on top of soap. A bar of soap slides off the table and goes toward the TV, but the TV is not there. Instead, there is a giant loaf of bread. The giant bread eats the soap but throws it up all over your couch. Out of your couch comes arms and they are holding paper towels, and it starts to clean the mess on itself with the paper towels. Memory chunking. Not all people are alike. Some people simply are better than others. This is partly true because whatever it is that you lack, you can improve it. All you have to do is to believe in yourself and do some research on how to improve yourself. Like, for example, if you have poor memory, you could try searching for ways to make it better. Yes, everything is upgradable. Everything can be improved, although not as fast as you imagined it to be, but it would be a gradual process. The bottom line is you could do it. It is possible. Like earlier mentioned, everything can be improved. And now we will focus on one aspect: the memory. Almost all people living on the planet is experiencing having problems with remembering things. Don't worry, there are no worms that eat the brain away. It's just a matter of improper usage of the brain. Not really that improper, but more like ineffective memorization skills. Now, if you know these skills and techniques, you would definitely remember and recall things more efficiently than you had before. These are simple methods that allow you to maximize your memorization and recalling capabilities. There are lots of techniques and methods available to you to exploit to make things much more efficient. Take, for instance, the chunking mnemonic memory technique. It is a technique to make sure that you would easily remember numbers, but you could definitely use this on other things as well. Put it this way, Chunking is grouping down numbers in manageable chunks to remember it easier. Just like when you are practicing and trying to play a guitar solo, you don't copy it as a whole, you divide it into small chunks and bits to make the process much easier to memorize. There are also other types of memory techniques that you could use and apply in your daily life to make it easier for you to memorize things. Remember, a good memory could help you become a better person. People would think highly of you, and you would be much more trustworthy. This would also mean that you would also be a better person when you are at work. Some people are branded irresponsible just because their poor memory disallows them to remind them of the responsibility that was assigned to them. The result? No more responsibility, and people would trust you the least. So if you feel like you are having trouble with your memory, I suggest that you follow these memory techniques. It would do you good. And remember, there is nothing wrong with you. It is simply a matter of how you are going to remember stuff. Using your mind right to memorize things is surely much more effective than anything else. This would definitely boost your self-confidence, boost your career, and boost your relationship with other people, whether at work, at school, or in your house. Try it. You will not regret it. Memory techniques for actors. Have you ever wondered why actors are capable of memorizing long storylines? Like if you see the script for a whole movie, it's consisted of lots of pages. Especially if you are the main actor. You would be having a lot of dialogues, and if I were the actor, the first question on my mind is, how in the world am I going to remember all of that? Well, that is the actor's job. However, they have a memory technique to deal with that. It's nothing flashy, nothing expensive, just a slight change in the process of memorization that proves to be effective, as you can see. One of these techniques is association. Why name it association? Well, from the word itself, the process is associating the words with images, pleasant ones, something that is memorable or something that you are really used to and you would never forget. This is because your brains have the tendency to block unpleasant images out. When doing this, you should definitely use images that are vivid, vibrant, and has sense. This makes it much easier to remember compared to the senseless ones. Also, using all 5 of your senses is effective. Try exaggerating that image in your mind and make it humorous. That way you will never forget it. Here are some of the techniques actors use to make their memorization capabilities much stronger. 1. Recorder. Reading the scene or the dialogue and recording it on a tape recorder, and then replay it 1,000 times and listen to it. 2. Envelope. Familiarize yourself with the script or the scene and then get an envelope. Cover that part of the scene on your script and imagine the person's face while saying those lines, and check out the script again if you did it correctly. 3. Writing. Copy and write the lines into a paper, but do it in sequence. 4. Song. Add some notes on your words, like a melody. Recite the script in a sing-song way. I don't know if this would work. 5. Crazy dude technique. Mumble the words to yourself. Do it as if you are talking to yourself. And of course, you should always answer yourself. That's how it is. Warning, you will look totally crazy. Well, I think that's all of it. You could also try combining all of these techniques and form one super technique to make sure you would be memorizing each line. But if you really want to know how actors memorize their lines, you should go ask them. I'm pretty sure there is some actor out there who would definitely tell you something about it. Or you could even try using the internet. Google it and find the answer. But to make your life easier, simply settle down with these things. These are the techniques that have the highest probability and assurance that actors use them. Memory techniques for kids. Great things start from small beginnings. That is why if you want to be good at something, start early. That is why if you have kids and you want them to achieve something in life in the near future, start now while they are still young, especially with their memory. Kids need to start early when it comes to memory enhancement so that they would perform better in school and in the near future. I know that we have all experienced memory problems back then, and most of the time it is not because we're dumb and stupid, but more because we were not using our brains in a right way. Enable for the brain to function efficiently, we should also know how to use it in a way that it would be enhanced and maximized. This is the secret behind memory techniques. Most especially with kids, if you teach them while they were young about the correct methods of using their brain, and teach them about the techniques that would enhance their ability to remember and recall things, they would be much more efficient in memorizing and recalling information in their head. Every day, kids absorb millions of data and information about everything. In school, the success rate of a child in a school endeavor heavily depends on how well is their ability to store, process, and recall the information that they receive. Intelligence itself is based on how well you pick up information and how successful you are in retrieving that information when needed. There are several techniques that you could teach your kids so that they could improve their memory while still young. One of these techniques is what we call the visualization and association. This method is used by plenty of people who want to improve their ability to memorize. This is not a new technique or brain upgrade. It's just a method of how to memorize things in a much more efficient manner. For example, instead of memorizing the word lightsaber, you visualize the image of the lightsaber itself. It is much easier for your brain to store and recall images or visual information than verbal and written word. Images are concrete when they enter your head. That explains why you recall images more than you recall words. You might recall the image of the house and the street more than the name of the street itself. So if you want your kids to have a bright future, give them the right tools, and you could start by enhancing the way they use their brain, and you can be sure that they would be better citizens in the future. Memory techniques made easy by e-learning. While it is true that people continue to learn and acquire new knowledge, for as long as their mental faculties are working well, there can be instances when absorbing new information and knowledge is not as simple a task as it would normally be. This is mainly because of some factors that may hinder the absorption process, such as fatigue, stress, mood swings, age, and even injury. The stress of everyday living today has been reported as even greater than that of some years back, attributing to the many illnesses and conditions often attributed to modern-day hazards, such as gradual or unexplained memory loss, or even the inability to retain information and memories for long. This condition is particularly evident in members of a company's workforce, specifically those involved in high-stress scenarios, those who may have suffered some form of injury, and those who may be considered of advanced age. To continue being an effective and efficient member of the workforce, employees should be able to upgrade their skill sets whenever there is a need to do so, or whenever their tasks and assignments require them to do so. The task of ensuring that employees are able to retain knowledge and skills they learn is left to the training department, which in turn makes use of e-learning to help in the task of making sure members of the workforce are indeed able to continuously function well. E-learning makes use of the most innovative teaching and learning techniques melded with tried and tested methods to ensure that the delivery of the new knowledge and skills to the learner is easy and effective, and also easy to retain and recall whenever they need it. E-learning modules are structured to deliver the most knowledge in the least amount of time, with learning modules structured to be easier to retain and recall, which is one of the most important facets of the procedure. E-learning uses several techniques to allow learners better memory retention in the learning modules, including information chunks. Modules and topics are bunched according to categories, relevance, and other groups, enabling for better retention through association. By grouping in certain lessons, the memory chain is further strengthened, allowing for a simpler recalling process. A simpler recalling process allows for an almost automatic memory recall by simply concentrating on a certain group. The needed information is recalled. Locally structured modules. Oftentimes, the difficulty in recalling memory arises from learning modules and lessons being haphazardly prepared and structured, hardly making any logical sense of continuity at all, making recall somewhat more difficult. Since a lot of the recalling process makes use of attribution and logical sequences of thoughts, e-learning modules are structured in a highly organized way, with relevant sequences and links to sequential lessons to allow for better recall and easier retention. Use of sensory clues. An aspect of thought is that it often involves components that attribute an idea with sensory stimuli, such as an image, an odor, a sensation, or a sound. By connecting the idea or thought or lesson with a sensory cue, the mind is able to better store the information or lesson, since the sensory cue becomes a tag of sorts, allowing the learner to effectively connect the sensory tag with the memory, and then use the tag to recall the memory later on. Photographic memory techniques. There are many photographic memory techniques claimed to be able to help you develop a photographic memory. There have been many studies showing that eidetic memory, also known as photographic memory, is questionable. It is a rare ability found in less than 10% of the population, and whilst you may not be born with this ability, it is possible to acquire it. Many photographic memory techniques assist your brain by boosting your ability to remember information. Your study habits also play a part in this, as different people learn differently. Having a photographic memory has many advantages which should not be discounted. However, it is not necessary to have a photographic memory to improve your studying abilities. It can be substituted with other methods, such as mind mapping or developing an efficient information categorization system. Alternatives also include only jotting down the main points that each chapter or book is trying to convey and making sure you understand the concepts. Most people are unaware that whilst the photographic memory is an invaluable skill, it is not without its disadvantages. One of the key problems with having a photographic memory is that you tend to suffer from information overload, having been exposed to a lot of information that may be unimportant or irrelevant to you. Having to deal with such great amounts of information means that you are less efficient in recalling the specific information that is needed, and you may also have difficulties in forgetting things which are irrelevant to you. Having a good memory is not just about remembering, but about being able to forget. Having said all that, if you are still interested in developing a photographic memory, you should turn to instruction on how to develop this skill. There are many books available, as well as tapes and DVDs that provide such instruction and techniques. The human mind functions in a similar way to a computer's database, and it is important to find the right linkages in order to call up the right information. Humans are not designed to be databases for storing information. Your memory should be used to recall information that is relevant, rather than just for storing purposes. Keep in mind that a good instructional tool should teach you about learning, and not just about remembering. Practical achievement tips for college and career success. When you packed for college, you probably didn't forget your favorite clothes, music, and equipment. But to succeed in college and beyond, you must remember that memory skills play an important role in your success. The human brain can record and store infinite information, but if you want to retrieve this information, you must build your recall skills. No matter how smart you are, learning is very dependent upon memory. Here are 5 memory techniques that will help you succeed during and after college. 1. Make a commitment to remember. You must be motivated to succeed and have an intention to remember, or else learning can't take place. How is it that a cocktail waitress can remember the drinks ordered by each customer at many tables when new people keep being seated all evening? The waitress intends to remember until the customers leave. The waitress quickly forgets the old orders so she can pay attention to the new ones. In order to remember the information you learn in college, at least until you've passed tests on it, you must put forth the mental energy to focus on the information you want to learn and make sure you understand it in the first place. 2. Organize the information you want to learn. Take notes when encountering information you want to remember. Cluster the information in meaningful groups or categorize items by importance. Don't rely on remembering information you've heard if you don't write it down. Note-taking styles vary widely, so use whichever style you prefer, but you must take notes as an important step to remembering what you learn. 3. Recite aloud to help transfer important information from your short-term to your long-term memory. If a gorgeous young lady shouted out her phone number as her car sped away, An interested guy would probably say the number over and over repeatedly until he could scribble it on paper. This same skill can be employed to learn the facts and figures you want to remember. Recitation works because it actively involves not only your mind, but also your body, as it strengthens the neural trace in your brain. 4. Create mnemonic devices where you assign words, phrases, sentences, or rhymes to difficult-to-remember principles or facts. This is how we learn the notes on the lines in the treble clef, "Every good boy does fine," or Holmes for the 5 Great Lakes, Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior. Mnemonics serve us for the rest of our lives when we want to recall information, such as how many days there are in a month. 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except February alone. 5. Visualize what you want to remember by creating a story or situation around it. This method of using imagery is called loci from the Greek and Roman orators who wanted to memorize long speeches. To remember the planets in order, create a story about each one and mentally tie it to the layout of your house, for example. Then take a mental walk through your house, picking up each planet as you go along. These 5 techniques cannot work alone. They must be coupled with good note-taking, time management, and selectivity. No one can remember everything, so you must be selective and learn to capture the key points of the information you want to remember. Then you must plan your time wisely so that you can distribute your memory techniques over time. By following these memory techniques, you control what you remember, ensuring yourself a place among successful college students and career professionals. Secrets to a lasting memory. The mind is very capable of growing and generating beyond what we give it credit for. Senior citizens can greatly reduce their brain's lack of focus by taking time for small brain stimulation sessions each day. It is recommended to start your brain exercise 5 minutes a day, Monday through Friday, and gradually working up to 15 minutes a day session. The objective of the brain session is to only focus on the mind's growth by stretching it beyond its normal thought capacity. Brain techniques can consist of anything that stimulates the mind beyond its normal thinking capacity. A great place to start is number memorization. The great thing about number memorization techniques is that it is simple and very easy to chart progress. It is also optimal for brain stimulation since numbers are not fairly plain and not distracting. When doing brain stimulation, you do not want to be in the creative visual mode. List about 3 to 5 numbers on a piece of paper. Now turn the paper over and see if you can remember what numbers you just wrote. Use thicker paper so you cannot see the other side. Now add an additional digit until your brain really has to stretch to remember them all. This is where the benefit results. Do this for about 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and you will begin to notice additional focus ability and memory strength. These 2 assets go hand in hand. You may incorporate other exercises as long as they do not distract you. Keep the goal of your exercises mind resistance and not increased intelligence. Work your mind out just like you would a muscle. Now that you understand the basic principle behind memory techniques with an exercise method available, you can start to schedule 5 minutes of your day aside for this alone. You will be amazed how much this small exercise can help your ability to focus and remember. Steps to a better memory. There are 5 main techniques that can be used to improve learning and retention. These techniques can be used as a student to allow you to improve retention of material, complete your homework faster, and recall it quickly during tests. These techniques are known as 1. Method of loci. 2. Peg words. 3. Memorimes. 4. PQ for R. Preview, question, read, reflect, recite, review. 5. The 5th step is the most important. Get off your butt and start using the techniques. The first 3 methods are systems to improve memory and recall. The 4th is an overview method that is used to fully engage the mind to remember the material studied. The first of these methods is called the method of loci, or in plain English, the location method. It is also known as the memory palace. As the title indicates, This method involves matching items to be memorized with a well-known location. Essentially, you would imagine yourself walking through a very familiar area, the road to the store, the various rooms of your house, etc., and place the items to be remembered in each location. This type of memory technique is shown grippingly in the Hannibal Lecter novels by Thomas Harris. In it, the protagonist, the evil Dr. Lecter, is able to perfectly recall tremendous amounts of information using the memory palace technique. However, you don't have to be a homicidal genius to use this method. This is usually done as a logical progression or journey. For example, on your normal walk to the store, you would pass your front door, the mailbox, the newsstand, Baskin-Robbins, etc. In your imagination, place an item from your list to memorize in each location. For example, if trying to memorize important dates for a history exam, you could place them in the proper time sequence by having the Gothic War of the Roman Empire on your doorstep, which is naturally before the founding of the Byzantine Empire at your mailbox, which is naturally before the High Middle Ages at the Baskin-Robbins. The strength of this method is that our brains are better organized to store locations than random facts. Traveling through these locations, as you would when giving someone directions, is something we do naturally. The trick to this method, and indeed all the methods covered, is to learn to use it quickly and consistently. Here are the steps necessary to use the technique. 1. Pick a very well-known area, either your home, school, or other place you are intimately familiar with. It is also important that the framework for your memory palace consists of places you can move through. Remember, we are trying to use the part of your brain that is involved with location and movement. The journey is essential. 2. Next, list the features of the route you have just chosen. As in the example above, the front door, the mailbox, the store, all appear in a specific sequence as you travel. It is important that the features be memorable. You should have at least 10 features for the first tryout. How can you be sure you have the features memorized in the correct order? List them on 3x5 cards. Randomize the cards by shuffling and then lay them out in the correct order as fast as you can. When you can lay out the first 10 features in order, add another 5 features. Remember, the more hooks you have to hang your memories on, the more you can remember. 4. With the location or route memorized to perfection, it's time to learn to use the technique. This technique is called memory peg. Each one of the distinctive features mentioned above is a possible memory peg. To remember the items in order, you must use your visual memory to create a memorable scene at the location. I find this the hardest part of the exercise, but making the scene memorable is to make it shocking or unusual. I usually use humor. For example, remember the old cartoon of 2 pigs screwing with the caption, "Makin' bacon"? I use that image to represent bacon in my grocery list, so I walk through my door seeing the pigs and know I have to buy bacon. There will be a Humpty Dumpty on the mailbox to remind me of eggs, and so on until the list is complete. 5. And lastly, it is important that you practice the technique. Repeat the journey through your memory palace several times to cement the list in your mind. Take the journey backwards and forwards to see if going out of sequence causes problems. If it does, you know you need to spend more time on this method. This is a powerful method and is one used by most students who are regarded as having excellent memories. Many children rediscover this method on their own. The drawback is that it takes time to learn to use and much practice to perfect. You cannot learn it on Friday and expect to use it to study over the weekend for finals that start on Monday. The best techniques. While memory techniques are not a new thing, the understanding of human memory has always been complicated. Human memory is one of the most important things in human knowledge. Memory is not intelligence. The power of the mind to process and deduct is attributed to intelligence. But we do know that memory does have some part in assisting a powerful mind. All scientific disciplines are guided by many rules and equations. Without memory, even the most powerful mind would get lost in going back to the same basic ideas over and over again. Understanding is also linked to memory. It is a simple fact that once you understand some idea or concept, you stand a better chance of remembering it. All humans have a limited capacity for memory. There are some rare cases of phenomenal memory abilities, but most people do not enjoy that rare gift. With our limited capacity, humans have devised many forms of communication to help us remember notions and ideas, even hundreds of years old. It's not only ideas and concepts that we can allow memory of, it is feelings and emotions, and certain moments in our lives you treasure. Think of reading the memories of a historian that lived in the Roman Empire time. Providing you know what life was at that time, you can understand almost every aspect of his life. Although memory is not intelligence, memory techniques train the mind to practice its ability. Memory technique exercises boost brain power and pushes the brain to process what it remembers. If you just learned a person's name, imagine regarding how that individual will be crucial to you in the future, when you are probable to see them subsequently, and anything you perceive about them. Other good reminiscence training involves telling yourself why you yearn for remembering something, and how you will remember it. Obviously, seeing the significance of remembering will stimulate the brain to hold the name, and the extra links in the brain, where you expect to see the person next, for example, stick the name even more firmly in your memory. The simplest memory workout is to begin telling yourself to memorize. If you just root a person's name, for example, inform yourself, remember that. This indicates the unconscious mind to grade this effort higher in importance. One memory technique dates back to the ancient Romans. When preparing to make a speech, the Roman orator would walk around his garden and associate different parts of the speech to different parts of the garden by placing parts of the speech at different locations selected across the garden. A memory technique that used images or location is sometimes best for people giving speeches. They can use this memory technique while giving the speech to walk themselves around a place they are familiar with and remember all the part of the speech. All depends on imagery. The more brilliant images you remember, the less chances of forgetting. A memory technique we can try uses locations such as a garden, your office, your house, or other locations you know well enough. Begins by starting walking around the house and select 10 places you will want to place something or associate a memory to. Remember them in your mind in some particular order and hierarchy. Now, when you want to remember a list of things, relate them to any of the locations or objects of your home or office. Do this with mental imagery and even sounds, always in a ridiculous way. Now, when you want to remember your list of things, you will just have to walk through your home and everything will be clear in your mind. Better memory starts that moment you understand the memory technique, but doesn't end until you practice the new memory techniques over and over again. Good luck improving your memory. The method of loci. The word loci comes from the Latin word locus, which means places. The technique is also referred to as the memory palace. The technique is a very old mnemonic device. A lot of memory champions use the loci method. You don't have to be a genius to use the loci method. It's sometimes referred to as the mental walk. Different people use the system to remember different things. Some want to recall shopping lists and others birthdays or faces. How does it work? If you want to use the loci method, you'll first need to choose a memory palace. The memory castle can be the house you live in, the city you live in, or even simply an item. There's only one thing you need to make sure. You need to know the memory palace by heart. See the rooms and items clearly in your mind. You're going to use this memory palace to store the memories you want in such a way that makes them easy to recall. Start by familiarizing yourself with the memory palace. You must see it clearly and vividly. It's crucial that you're able to visualize it. Make a route that you're going to take through the memory palace. If it's your home, that is your memory palace. Make a route that you'll take through your home, that you'll take through the rooms in your house. Visualize everything as best you can. The loci method works by associating the information you want to recall with a room in your memory palace. Want to store a shopping list? Visualize the first item on the list in the first room. Visualize a bag of beans. Visualize it clearly. It is not enough to simply see it. Action and emotions will make the information easier to store. See the bag of beans go up in flames. Make it huge. Add something to the picture that makes it easier to remember. For example, of an emotion I often use is frustration. I try to open the bag but can't, so I feel very frustrated and angry. Place the items you wish to remember in the different rooms. The second item on your shopping list would go in the second location. The key aspect of getting this memory system to function properly is having a clear visual mental image of the items and to know your memory palace by heart. You will need to come up with your own action and emotions to store the information. To be able to store an entire deck of cards, you'll need 52 locations. Practice makes master. 3 memory techniques for learning a foreign language. Learning a new language can be a difficult task, but if you use these simple memory exercises and techniques, you can start learning a new language in no time. Memory Technique A, the 100 words. The idea is that you only need 100 strong words to cover over 50% of all words used in a conversation. By learning those 100 strong words, you are one step ahead of speaking a new language, or at least perform a basic conversation. But what are those 100 strong words? It depends on the language and yourself. It's up to you to decide on the strong words since each individual uses and/or is affected by words in a unique way. You can create a list of words and keep adding words to the list. Start with the 10 first numbers from 1 to 10. Then add words you use very often. You must find the 100 top words of your everyday vocabulary. After you've finished your word list in your native language, write down the words from the foreign language next to the words from your native language. Exercise on learning and memorizing the new words, and you will notice significant improvement in the way you talk to others using the foreign language. Memory Technique B, the mnemonics. The idea behind this technique is to use images to link words between your native language and the foreign language. What you do is to associate all words with images in your mind. Then you start linking words by connecting images and create new. Here's an example of how to create images of words in your mind. You want to learn the Greek word for the English word eagle. First, you imagine an eagle opening its huge wings and flying over the mountains. After creating that image in your mind, it's time to look at the Greek word, which in this case is ethos. When you read or say the Greek word, try to picture the same image in your brain, the one of the eagle flying through the clouds. That way, your brain will instantly create a connection between the new word and the image of the eagle. This technique will help you learn and remember new words effectively and easily. Memory Technique C, the environment mnemonic. This method is quite sophisticated and is based on the fact that the basic vocabulary of every language is somehow connected or linked to everyday things in your environment. You should define your environment, whether it is a room, a house, a village, a city, etc. You should start with a place or location you are familiar with. The idea is to start connecting words with objects or locations in your environment. For example, you could associate in your mind the word library with an image of the local library and the word book with images of the books inside the library. You could associate the word park with a park in your town and the word tree with the trees in the park. This method is so fun and easy when trying to create phrases by using a combination of the above memory techniques. You could easily create an image of a phrase like this one. I went to the local library to get a book, and then I went to the park to read the book.